Alright, tonight guys, we're going to be looking at one of my favorite pieces of audio gear that I've had. Probably, I don't know if ever, but it's definitely up there. I really have enjoyed this thing. I've had it for about 6 months. And it is the Emotiva BassX PT100 preamplifier, DAC, tuner, phono preamp. It's kind of a whole collection of things in one. It's more or less, it's mostly a preamp. So let's dig right in. Let's see. Pull out the manual here. You get this nice manual with the binder, which is pretty nice for those of you that care about manuals. Looks to be in all English, so that's fine. But either way, you do get a nice manual with it. And then here's the nice little remote. It comes with it, little plastic. It is plasticky. It's really light. I have dropped it a couple times, but it still seems to be okay. And then it takes one of these, if I get it open here, takes one of those little button batteries, the typical CR2032. I mean, for a plastic remote, it is pretty sturdy. And the buttons are, you hear that? Pretty clicky. I mean, you definitely can tell they're not mushy. But yeah, there's your remote, power, and then this is your navigation. You get through your menu and mute. How do you get into the menu, and then stereo mono, which I believe only works on tuner. But anyway, nice little remote. But for what this thing, see, I don't know if they're taking away from the remote to put more quality into this or what. I guess as long as you're careful with it, it's okay. I do not like how it's glossy black. Stop with the glossy black, all you manufacturers. It looks nice until you actually touch it and use it. No more glossy black. Alright, let's get this thing unboxed. Done. Alright. First, we'll look at the front. Coming across here, and I do like the look of these. They kind of remind me of some of the Krell equipment, and maybe even some of the older Monster power conditioners. This brushed aluminum front with these chunks on the end here, and on this end you got a 3.5 headphone jack. Then your inputs, these two buttons here allow you to go through your inputs, and yes, this is all brushed aluminum, thick brushed aluminum. Power button in the middle here, or standby button. A nice volume knob. This I think is plastic, but it feels good. And you get this really smooth dial. It's clicky and smooth. It's very nice volume dial. And then you get the BassX logo there. Some nice big thick rubber feet on the bottom, nice and rubbery, so this thing's not going to slide around. No ventilation really on the bottom. This thing doesn't get hot, so you don't really have to worry about stacking it. But yeah, nice thick rubber feet on the bottom. Moving around, not much on the sides or the top. We'll go around back where the show is. On the back, you get a switch here for your phono. You get moving coil or moving magnet, and just a switch to select it. A really nice gold-plated ground screw. And then your analog inputs. You get a phono, of course, CD, auxiliary. And then these here are, I believe they called them summed. So these, even though they're red and white, these are not right and left. I believe they're mono, so you could run 2 powered subs off these, or 2 mono block amplifiers, I believe. Or no, because you wouldn't have your right or left. But mainly, I think they want you to run subs, because it says sub right there. So you could run 2 powered subs off these, which is nice. So you could do like a 2.1 or 2.2 stereo setup. And then here's your main. These are what go out to your power amp or your amplifier. And a really nice antenna, threaded antenna connection, coax, optical, USB, and then this is a USB for the sold separately Bluetooth receiver, which is aptX. And then over here you get a 12-volt trigger, which would run to perceivably your amplifier you're using this with. And then way over here you got your typical 2-conductor figure 8 power cord, and then that's why I said the button on the front's more of like a standby, because this is actually the main power. So I mean, you turn it on, and then that button in the front basically turns it on or puts it in standby. But if you want it completely off, you have to hit this button in the back. But the main reason I like this thing is because you can just hook so many things to it, and you know, you got up to 3 analog devices, well, not including your phono if you don't use that. You know, but you got 3 different digital inputs over here. I mean, it just kind of does everything. And when I was going to get this, before I go too far off track, I do have the power cord. It does just kind of come with just a real basic power cord, nothing super fancy, but it does come with a power cord, of course. But when I was going to get something like this, I was looking at all kinds of preamps and just not really finding anything I wanted. A lot of the nice preamps, or used or vintage preamps, they're nice, but a lot of them are, you know, $200, $300, $400, and they're older, so they have no digital inputs. They don't have any DAC in them. This is a preamp. It's got a really nice analog devices 1955 DAC. I guess it's I read about it. It's a respected DAC chip, I guess. So it's got a respectable DAC in it. You got your phono preamplifier in there, and it's supposedly a good one. A 50 preset tuner built in, and then you know you got all those, just all these digital inputs you can use. So you can, I mean, it's just so nice because you can hook a lot of things to this and kind of control your whole stereo through this preamp. And this usually, I think, hovers around $299 or $329, and I don't really see it too many places. I mostly, you can always buy it right off of Emotiva's site, which I'll link to, so you guys can get into all the nitty-gritty detail and specifications about this thing, because Emotiva is pretty generous with listing all the specs, the detailed specs on this thing. And yeah, this was really the only thing that came up as a modern DAC that wasn't modern preamp DAC, you know, all these things in one that wasn't super expensive, and from a good name. So, and I ended up coming across this one used. I paid $250 for it. I've had it for 6 months. I absolutely like it, or loved it. And you know, it's probably been one of my favorite pieces in my stereo just because it's so universal. I mean, it's not for everybody. Not everybody hooks this many things into their amplifier, or if you're using some sort of receiver or something that's kind of got its own preamp built in, so it's kind of allows you to have all these inputs already. But yeah, if you're buying something like like the Behringer A800 reference amp I use, or you know, any of the Crown XLS amps, or if even you know the QSC, all these power amps that need some sort of head or preamp to run them, this is an excellent choice, because you're just getting the preamp, the DAC, the phono, the tuner, all these things in one. And they're pretty good quality for the price. If you bought them all separately, I don't know if you could get them all for the same quality, all for the same price. And they definitely obviously wouldn't be in one box. And then the main that runs out to your amplifier, I believe these go up to 4 volts RMS. So this puts out plenty of juice. The headphone jack, I'm not sure what it puts out, but it is listed in the specs, which, like I said, I will link. Once I get plugged in, we'll kind of go through the menu. I don't necessarily like how the menu's set up. You know, the way the whole thing is designed is very minimalistic, which I guess once you figure it out, it's fine. But yeah, let's go ahead and plug it in so we can look at it. Okay, we got it hooked up. First off, I'm not going to do a sound demo with this thing because you won't hear the difference. I have like the DAC FX Audio DAC X6 down here that I've been using, and a couple other ones around that I'm working on and getting around to reviewing and stuff, but I'm not going to do a sound demo because even though I would have to say out of all the little DACs and stuff I have, this is the best one I have, but it obviously sounds the best. But just the DAC portion, you know, if you're not interested in all the other things, you know, the FX Audio is $60. This is $320, you know. This doesn't necessarily sound that much better in any case, but it's just kind of the whole package. They're giving you a lot of things in one here. So, but I do have to say, as far as overall quality and detail, and you know, just how much I like the DAC. I don't want to get into too much of the audiophile words because everybody's room is different, ears are different, a lot of times sources are different. There's just so many variables. I'm just going to say it's a very good sounding DAC. So I'm not going to do a sound demo because you guys will not hear the difference in a YouTube video. It's just not that big of a difference. Now, as you can see here, after I flip the power switch in the back, this little ring around this button here is now orange, letting you know it's in standby. And you can push that. And as in typical Emotiva fashion, it'll come on. Now I want to see if this remembers my volume that I had it at, now that I had it unplugged from the wall. Yep, see, it showed the volume 23, and then it started at 0, and it goes back up to 23. Apparently, it must have some sort of battery in it or whatever to help it remember that, because I had it completely unhooked and everything now for a while, and it still remembered it. Now, if I have this saying, on hooked to my Behringer down here, 55, 60 was getting pretty loud. It goes all the way up to 80, but I have, just for sake of experiment, I have had it at 60, like now. Well, it's at 60 now. We'll shut it off. Okay, I'm going to turn it back on. We'll see if the volume goes all the way back up to 60. The reason I don't like that is because 60 is very loud. And if for some reason I shut it off when it was that loud and it came back on, let's see if it goes all the way back to 60. Yup. See, I don't like that. I wish it would always default to like 20 or something, because the way I have it set up, if it went right back to 60 and I already had music going, it'd crank right up and go real loud. So it'd be nice if this would just default back to like 20 every time you shut it off and turn it back on. Anyway, and then you got your buttons over here that go through your inputs: coax, USB, Bluetooth, tuner, CD, aux, phono, back to optical. And my furnace is running great. And then on the remote here, hitting sideways also allows you to go through these inputs. Volume is up and down on the remote, and if you hold it down, it will cruise, or whatever you want to call it. You don't have to keep hitting it individually. I don't really care for the 0.5s. Okay, I don't know why I can't just go by whole numbers. I don't necessarily think the 0.5 is necessary. Then you get a mute button in the middle. And once we were on tuner. On tuner, this ST/M is for stereo mono. If you put it on a different mode, it says key error, so that is only for your tuner. I'm assuming maybe if you listen to a lot of AM and you want to put AM on mono, maybe. And then to get into your menu, this kind of just looks like this little button here. It possibly looks like a little menu. Hit that. Oops, no, back. That. Setup. Not mute. Back in there. Up. Setup's at the very top. So once you got on the one you want, you hit over to select it, and then there's your dim, reset, auto tune, region. Yeah, if you have your antenna hooked up, you can hit this and it'll go ahead and sniff through all the channels you might be able to get. You can reset the whole unit. You can check what version. This is the version 1.02. Dim, you hit over on your dimmer, and then you can all the way up and all the way down. I'm just going to leave it at 100% for now. Actually, I think I had it at 80. Then to get back out, you just hit back, and then dim is at the bottom of that menu. So it's not too bad. Once you have it on what you want, you just hit over to see it. Then to go back, you just hit back. And if you want to go back again, and then now we can go into trims or whatever. And this is just where your bass, treble, balance. I think it's the only three: bass, treble, and balance are in there. And then tuner, you can hit over, preset, seek, frequency, mono, stereo in here. You save. So that's all your tuner options. I think that's it. Yeah, that's really all that's in the menu. And to just go back, you just hit the menu again, and it goes back. So, yeah, the menu's not bad. It's fairly simple, but it's simple and I cannot say that word, minimalistic. But it works once you figure it out. It definitely works. So, I think that's it. I mean, if you have any other questions about it, put them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Like I said, and I'm sure you've seen in other videos, I have it powering my Behringer Reference A800, and it works absolutely great for that. And what I do with it is I have my computer here, or my music PC, whatever, with the sound card in it, and I have fiber optic coming out of this, going into this, and then I also have from my Sony was it NS999 ES CD player, I have the analog out of the CD player going into the analog on this. That allows me to listen to CDs using the built-in DAC and SACD DAC in this. And then I also use the coax. There's a coax out of this into the coax on here. So if I want to play a CD but use the DAC in the Emotiva, I can. That way I can listen to CDs and be able to, listen to the same CD with two different DACs and kind of compare and see which one sounds better. And then I also have, I had my turntable here, which is down right now, hooked into the phono, which I've only used a little bit, but when I did use it, the phono sounded really good. I can't say I have a ton of experience with the turntables and phono, but super simple. You plug it in, set it up, hit go. It's clean. It sounded really good. And yeah, just gives me all that functionality in one box, and then it's just kind of been like the brain of my whole system. So absolutely worth, to me, absolutely worth $329. Like I said, because I just haven't found anything else out there that has all the same functionality and quality as this for the same price. I just haven't come across anything even close. So like, subscribe, and that's gonna be it for this video. Like I said, if you have any other questions about it, I'll have links in the description. You can post them in the comments. Have at it. All right, guys, good night, see you later.